Welcome back to the General Wellness YouTube channel. Today we're talking all about macros and should you count macros in order to be healthy. So counting macros or counting calories is something that is super common in the wellness space or for people who are trying to get healthy, trying to lose weight, or reach a certain goal. So we are going to cover why people might do it, the pros, the cons, and my top tips for how to get healthy in a sustainable way. So why might people count calories or count macros? So specifically in this video, we'll be talking about counting macros, but spoiler alert, on the back end, they really are the same thing. Our macronutrients multiplied out make up a certain amount of calories. So really you are counting calories, but you're a little bit more focused and dialed in on the specific macronutrients that your calories actually come from. So tracking your food in this way with macronutrients can be a way to see what you're actually doing. So when I talk to people about their health and about nutrition, I always say, we usually think we're doing a little bit better than we really are. And that goes for myself. And I talk to people about nutrition all day long. I can often think, yeah, I probably have about a cup of that. But if I really look at the portion size that I've got going on, it's like 2-3 cups, right? And so when you really get down to it and you're paying a little bit more attention to what you're actually eating, it is very, very eye-opening and something that is important to look for whenever you have certain goals in mind. So oftentimes with counting macros and sometimes counting calories, you're going to do a lot of weighing your food. And so this can be really, really accurate. So you're quite literally putting food on a food scale and saying how many ounces, how many grams of that do I have? And then you're tracking it in some kind of food tracking system from there. And then you really, really know how many calories, how many grams of carb, grams of protein or fat or whatever that you might have from that food. So it is a very accurate way, as accurate as we can get to what we're actually doing. But we do know that there is some discrepancy in where they're getting that information on the back end, right? And someone is down the road using the food processing calculators on the computers to figure out what a label looks like for that food. So there is some discrepancy, and we know that this milk versus this milk really, if we tested them right then and there, might not be the same, might not be what is actually putting into our tracker. So you really do have to take everything with a grain of salt. So while this might be helpful for people who have certain goals, they want to make sure they hit their protein goals or stay below a certain amount of carbs, whatever that might look like for you, it can also be really, really triggering for some, specifically when it comes to counting calories. So counting macros does take the edge off of that a little bit, but in general, I just don't think it's helpful to know every single gram that goes in our body unless your goal is significant weight gain, bodybuilding, some kind of physical, aesthetic, muscle growth situation that you might be in. Majority of people wanting to be healthy and even wanting to lose weight, you don't really need to do this. It's a little bit too much, it's a little bit too obsessive, so it's just not a super necessary step. You can get a lot of your time back and your life back by eating in the way that we will explain in just a minute, but not being obsessive and weighing and tracking everything that goes into your body. If this does work for you though, by all means, keep doing it because it is an accurate way to assess the food that's going in your body in order to meet those goals. In general, my main thing whenever we're tracking our food in any capacity or focusing on our food in any capacity is we need to know why and we need to make sure we're getting correct information about that. So that's what this whole channel, my whole career is about, making sure that you have correct nutrition information. So I am a registered dietitian. I see people one-on-one and in 4-week new live group programs hosted on my new app. And so I'm teaching people, why are you doing what you're doing when it comes to health? And we build back up on the foundation of what are we actually supposed to be doing when it comes to health and nutrition, what's best for us, and what's going to promote health long term. So figuring out that why for you is really important. You can do that either on your own, journaling, figure that out, or figuring that out with someone like myself or in a group setting to really see why are you doing this and what is the best method for you, because counting macros or counting calories might not be your best method for a well-balanced life depending on what your goals are, but it might be for the reasons I mentioned earlier. And then my next thing on top of that would be lasting change. And so we want to establish habits, health habits in general, that are going to last long term. So we want to make sure they're the right habits, it's correct for our goals, and that they last. And so doing something for 30 days, even 6 months, just kind of wasting your time if it doesn't last longer than that, right? So why even bother with the food scale at all if it's not going to last long term? So we've got to find something that's sustainable for longer than this short period of time. If that's tracking and counting macros for you, then great. For a majority of people, that's not a sustainable habit long term because it is really time consuming. And then, of course, last but not least, but the third added layer on top of this is going to be health. And so there is a way to hit your macros perfectly, but not be focused on health. The same way obviously goes for calories. So just because it fits within your macros doesn't necessarily mean it's the healthiest food for you. So working with a professional, a registered dietitian in your area, or joining a program like my 4-week program to really learn what is actually healthiest for me is really, really important to remember. So like I said, you can have perfect macronutrients, really hit your carb goal, your protein, your fat goal, and not be healthy. And so you can be missing a whole host of things, completely neglecting vegetables, neglecting fiber, eating the wrong kinds of carbs, eating the carbs or protein at the wrong time to build muscle. There's so many other factors that goes into this, and it is so nuanced and so individualized that you really need to make sure you're working with somebody and figuring out the best way to do it for your goals. So how do you figure out what is the best for you and for your goals? So we have created a new 4-week live group program hosted on my app that also has a food tracking component. We do our food tracking based on serving sizes. And so there is a certain amount of grams of carb, protein, and fat that equates to 1 serving for our instances, and you will be given it in that amount. So you don't have to worry about grams, although that is also available to you if you want to see grams in the app. And we track in this way just to make sure that we are getting what we need for the day, not going too much under and not going over as well, because both can be harmful and prevent our goals. Eating too little can also help prevent weight loss or overall health if those are your goals. And so tracking in this capacity can be really, really helpful. But in the 4-week program, we build from the ground up about why are you doing what you're doing? You work directly with me, a registered dietitian, on live weekly calls and other calls multiple times during the 4 weeks about Q&A, where you get to ask your specific questions on your specific health goals so that I can help you tailor your macros, tailor your tracking, and our other daily practices that we will be implementing in terms of health habits in order to reach your goals and promote lasting health. Once and for all, you'll be able to enjoy food while also having food reach your goals. So it's a way of breaking everything down in nutrition, breaking everything down in health, building back up on what actually matters and simplifying it while also helping you learn yourself. Why does it keep not working for you? We have a health personality assessment to figure out what's always hanging you up and how to overcome obstacles every single time. So if you want this personalized, individualized, one-on-one, and group setting opportunity with myself, a registered dietitian, to figure out if counting macros is right for you, what your goals are, and how to reach them, click the link below to learn all about my Easy Health Method 4-week live program hosted on my app with food tracking, with meal plans, with healthy recipes, all in one place. We start a new session every single month, so be sure to dive in. Hopefully this was helpful for you to see why people might count macros, if you need to count macros in order to be healthy, and some other sustainable long-term tricks that might work better for you if counting macros is a little bit too intimidating, or if you think it's just a little bit too much for you. Be sure to like this video if it was helpful, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you want to learn more about the day-to-day healthy living tips, be sure to follow us on Instagram at @generalwellness.